Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this week's Everton Show. I'm sure you're all still smarting from the injustice of Stamford Bridge last Saturday afternoon, but a win this weekend against Swansea and the right result at Manchester City next Wednesday will go some way to soothing the pain. And talking of pain, I'm rather hoping that our two guests this week have something of a fallout on the sofa, because let me tell you, if it comes to blows, there's only one winner. We've got Tony Bellew with us on the Everton Show this week. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure.
The 98th minute goal at Chelsea, what was your reaction?
Disbelief. Disbelief and anger and frustration. So a mixture of everything there. But ultimately, you know what I've got to be adamant on? I know it was hard to take and it was so disappointing, but before that game, you're biting your hand off of the draw. And ultimately, you've got to go back to the beginning of the game. I know it's hard. We were winning the game, two separate occasions, but ultimately, you have to bear in mind and put into context just exactly how big that point is. And before the game, like I say, you'd have snapped the hand off at that point. So very disappointed, hurt and angry, but ultimately it's still a good result and a great point away from home.
We'll talk, I'm sure, plenty more about the anger of both these guys throughout tonight's show. Plenty more to come from Bomber and the Snods then on this week's Everton programme, and we'll also hear from this lot.
You know, we fought hard in the game and took the lead twice. So, yeah, we're disappointed, particularly when we felt like, well, we know for certain that John Terry was offside. So that makes it hurt a little bit more.
As soon as you walk in, someone starts talking to you. Someone makes you feel welcome. You're never alone when you're here. And I think that's the most important thing that Everton in the community brings. It helps everybody to remember that they're not alone.
We're at a stage in the season where, if we want to get to where we want to be, and we've got to start stringing more results together and winning more football matches, basically. So Swansea's the next game up, and it's a good place for us to start doing that.
We know that they're going to be a real threat away from home. They're a team that they can create threat and they can keep the ball really well. I think Alan Curtis has brought the all strength that this Swansea City team has.
Snods, Tony hit on a great point there. On paper, a draw at Chelsea, 3 days after the draw at Manchester City, a decent results. We're playing well, aren't we?
We are playing well. Great result at Man City. I thought we played exceptionally well first half, defended fantastic second half, and then to go down to Chelsea, who have hit a little bit of form under Gus Hiddink, to take a 2-0 lead. You knew they were going to have a section in the game where they were going to get on top, and it came from probably a defensive mix-up, defensive mistake that they got back into the game. Costa put the ball in, and then we were under pressure a little bit. But the manner, as Tony said, the manner in the way we got the draw, I can live with a minute and 10 seconds over. I can't live with the decision, the offside decision. It's blatant. He's a yard offside. The linesman's got a great handle on it, and he don't give it. That's what disappointed me.
It was a poor decision by the linesman, that's for sure. Well, I speak to Roberto Martinez after most games, and I can tell you that what you see is generally what you get. He likes to accentuate the positives. He's always polite and respectful to the media in a way that some managers clearly aren't, by the way. And he always keeps his cool and doesn't let his emotions run away with him. But when he spoke to me at Stamford Bridge after last Saturday's game, even he was clearly rattled by what he'd just seen.
I think I've been involved in many games where you feel a little bit of injustice. Today is completely different. I think this is the worst feeling that I ever had after a game. Just because sometimes injustice goes down to the decision of a referee, a view that is debatable by the two sides. Today is just clear-cut. We played over the time. It was 7 minutes, and the last action happens at 7 minutes and 51 seconds, which is not 5 or 6 seconds. Is unacceptable to be nearly enough an extra minute. And then it's 2 yards offside. It's just you cannot justify at this level to get a decision so wrong. In terms of the performance, we get an incredible 2-goal lead, well deserved. At that moment, the game went a bit open and crazy, and we were punished with a bit of misfortune with the deflection of the second goal. But the character is incredible. We got ourselves back together. We scored another goal where it should have been the winning goal, and then just to go away with 1 point, it seems a real football crime. But more than anything, it's just the feeling that the players have, and every single Evertonian will be feeling so down. And it's unfair. Nobody deserves that. I think we need to understand that it was a winning performance. We won. We scored 3 goals. We conceded 2. And for whatever reason, another one has been awarded. And it's such a big error that it's hard to explain and to put it into into words. I don't think it's a normal situation that in football could go your way or not. Today it was just we've been taking 2 points away in the last action of the game, and we didn't deserve that.
Not happy, was he, the gaffer, after that game? Well, as we've touched upon, going away from home to the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea in the space of 3 days and returning with 2 draws is, on paper at least, a decent job well done. But when I spoke to Tim Howard, again at the side of the Stamford Bridge pitch last weekend, he wasn't ready to look at it that way.
We're devastated. We thought, as much as Chelsea might be having an off year, they're supremely talented. They're dangerous. They showed that today, and we fought hard in the game and took the lead twice. So yeah, we're disappointed, particularly when we felt like, well, we know for certain that John Terry was offside. So that makes it hurt a little bit more.
The dressing room not just deflated and disappointed, but there's a bit of anger in there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, again, you put everything you have into this game and you try and get your just rewards, and I thought we played well today. Look, again, they're a top side. They really are. They're still champions at the end of the day, with a lot of the same players. And so, we're angered by the fact that we did the business, and but for, again, an offside call, we have 3 points, which we rightfully deserved.
A couple of good goals though. Kevin Morales put us away lovely, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. When it fell to him, you knew he was going to swivel on it and hit it clean. And he's got really good technique. Certain times when the ball does drop, you want it to fall to players like him.
And Ramiro Funes Mori's got an eye for goal, hasn't he?
Yeah, timely. He likes to get himself there in the mix. Obviously, he's got the cut on his head, so he's not afraid to, mix it up. And thankfully for him, he was in the right spot.
We've had to shuffle the defence a few times this season. That doesn't make things any easier, does it?
No, but I also feel like there's a confidence among that group in the back. That we have to shuffle and Stonesy have to slide across, or we have to make a change because of an injury. It's not been an issue. We've seemed to cope with it well. So that's a positive for us.
On paper, the last 2 results at Manchester City and Chelsea are decent results, Tim, aren't they?
Well, they are, and I think it just goes to show you how far we've come. We feel like this is a talented group, and we would pretty much tell you we're disappointed by both of those results. So that tells you where we are.
Just got to lift yourselves now and look ahead to Swansea City at Goodison next Sunday.
Absolutely. It's nice. We've had a huge block of games, and it'll be good to get that extra day's rest, knowing that we have another long week ahead with the weekend, midweek, and the following weekend.
Tony, it's one of my duties after the game to get the players to speak to the media. After a result like that, it's never easy, but Tim Howard always fronts up.
He does, and like you say, it's not easy. And Tim, I've known Tim a long time. He's a good friend of mine, and that's not the usually enthusiastic and really glowing Tim Howard. He's a great person and a great keeper. And it's been hard for Tim. He's received, in my opinion, a lot of unfair criticism. Tim Howard's been between our sticks now for nearly a decade, and without a shadow of a doubt, he's saved us over dozens and dozens more times than he's ever cost us. He's a human, and human error, people make mistakes, but ultimately he saves us on a regular basis, week in, week out. And I just think it's so unfair for him to get criticised, because Tim's been at the top level for so long, a brilliant keeper, represented his country. I remember when he was going back and forth to the USA, coming back home to be training with Everton and doing what he does with us, then back to the USA, back and forth, and he just doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's a fantastic keeper, big morale man in the squad. Big voice of that dressing room, he really is, and he's a fantastic professional player.
Yeah, he's been a super professional. I know Snods agrees with you and I, Tony, on that one. Well, 2 away games in the space of 3 days was not just a challenge for the players, it was also a big ask for the supporters. But strangely enough, those travelling fans who went to Manchester City on the Wednesday night had far more logistical problems than those who went to London for the Chelsea game. Travel issues way beyond the club's control, of course, meant that many Everton fans missed the Etihad kick-off. So we decided to do something about it ahead of the Capital One Cup semi-final second leg.
It was really unfortunate a week or so ago when we went over to the Etihad. We could tell at kick-off that a lot of fans had struggled from both sides. City and Everton fans struggled to get there. And when we found out more and found out how many fans had been affected, we thought we really should do something. We looked at the data, and the vast majority of the fans who got to the Etihad last week or tried to get to the Etihad last week had also purchased for the upcoming semi-final. So we thought it would be the right thing to do, to make a gesture and to pay for their tickets for the next leg. So it was a decision we made fairly quickly. We knew on the night that the fans were frustrated, so the chief exec and chairman had a chat, decided that it was a good thing to do, and basically made it happen. We've had great feedback from our fans, and hopefully it'll give the fans a little extra lift as well on Wednesday night and help take us through to the final.
Our away support is renowned throughout the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, the away support's fantastic. I know the players when they first joined the club have been amazed when they've first seen how dedicated our fans are wherever it is. On the road this year has been a real challenge because of the distances. We've had probably as many miles to cover in a Premier League season going away from home as ever, with Norwich and Swansea, Southampton, the North East clubs and so on, Bournemouth. So it's a fantastic effort, and everyone at the club really recognises that. And as I say, I know it gets through to the players and gives them a lift as well.
That was Richard Kenyon, and that's just about it for part one of this week's Everton Show. We'll take a short break right now, but don't go too far away from the telly, because after the break, we'll be hearing from David Unsworth, Amanda Holden and Gareth Barry. Welcome back to part two of this week's Everton Show. Although there's a Premier League game at the weekend, it's only natural for your average Evertonian mind to wonder and think about next week's Capital One Cup semi-final. And if you want an omen, just this week our under-21s won a semi-final of their own. They beat Accrington Stanley at Southport to move into the final of the Lancashire Senior Cup.
Another cup game and another late winner for Everton under-21s. The Young Blues secured a place in the final of the Lancashire Senior Cup for the first time since 1964, after a 2-1 win over Accrington Stanley at Southport's Merseyrail Community Stadium. Just like last week, David Unsworth's side had to come from behind to take the victory. Marcus Carver opened the scoring for Stanley inside the first couple of minutes, heading past Louis Gray. Everton then took over and earned a deserved equaliser via the boot of Joe Williams. The skipper beat 3 men before slamming the ball home. The Blues had more of the play in the second period but couldn't find a winner until very late on. Extra time looked a certainty until substitute Courtney Duffus, the man who scored the winner in injury time last week, struck again at the death. He headed in Matty Folds' cross to book a cup final date with either Oldham, Manchester United or Blackpool.
Very proud of the players again. They were terrific. We like giving goal starts away, but after that it took us 10 minutes to get into the game. When we did, I thought once we started playing the way we can play, it was a fantastic performance, and the way we carried on trying to play on that type of surface was a real testament to the way the lads want to play and go about how to play a really game of good football.
Obviously, speaking to Unzi, he said he's going to bide his time with you, obviously after the injury. Do you feel like you're slowly coming back to fitness now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time I've been out, so obviously it's going to take a while for me to get back to the level I was before the injury. So I'm just taking it game by game, day by day in training. So.
We're all confident we can beat anyone. We feel as if we can finish high in the league. And we're just all dead confident and buzzing at the minute.
Tony, you just said a terrific thing off camera. Hit the nail right on the head. David Unsworth does things the Everton way.
He does, Daz. Yeah, I've known David quite a long time now, and he's Everton through and through. Basically, he does things the Everton way, the right way, and to see what he's doing with the young lads of the club is fantastic. And it's someone for them to look up to, something for the David Unsworth's got an England camp. He's played countless games for Everton Football Club and always been kind of stalwart of the club and someone who's strong and a good leader.
Used to watch the Blues when he was in the team, didn't you, Tom?
Mate, I had my season ticket in them days, the Gladys Street, OKK. It was fantastic days. You know what? It seems like an eternity ago, but they were amazing days. I used to love going on the Gladys, and I always had it on KK because just above the top left-hand corner of the goal, and that was the place where all the singing used to kick off, and we'd be screaming and shouting. And nowadays I have to sit in places where I just have to keep my mouth shut until a referee does something silly, and then I'm up and I'm screaming, and people look at me and say, "You don't belong in this place."
It's a good job we weren't sat there when I were playing. I'd have bit you once or twice with shots on goal in KK.
Unzi's doing a great job, Snods.
Fantastic, great lad. And as Tony said, I played with Unzi when he was a young boy, at 19-year-old, seen him get his England cap, and he's a fantastic lad, fantastic Evertonian, and it's great. He's learning them kids the right way.
All part of the Everton DNA, isn't it? So is Everton in the community, and that's something that all Evertonians are quite rightly very, very proud of. Bomber and Snods themselves have mucked in over the years on many of the schemes and programmes. And so we were delighted recently to have secured the services of Amanda Holden. Amanda is a big Evertonian, and as she was on Merseyside in her role as a judge on Britain's Got Talent, she took the opportunity to catch up with some of the community staff.
We've been doing a quiz today, and they're absolutely brilliant. I mean, I know I probably shouldn't say this, it's not the right thing to say, but their memories are brilliant. They got all the answers right. I didn't know anything. They were fantastic fun, a brilliant sense of humour, really warm, lovely, friendly group of people. It was, you know, I could have stayed all day. I think it's massively important because more and more you hear on the news about dementia, and I think by 2020, 1 million of us are going to be suffering from dementia. So it's something that we need to recognise and embrace and help. My own grandfather suffered from this, and you know, we had to watch him slowly turn into a different person and then sadly pass away. And I think they call it the long goodbye. It's massively important to support the people suffering it, but also to support the people who are living with those people and who have to stay strong by their side and help them live day to day. You know, it's the cruelest and the most awful of illnesses to go with, because you just lose somebody and it takes a long time for them to disappear, and it's just such a cruel, awful thing. It was awful for my grandmother and for our family, but something like this gives everyone a little bit of sunshine, you know, something to look forward to every day, and you know, it must lighten the mood a bit at home. I love coming up here because I think everyone's funny. I think Everton supporters are the funniest supporters. They make me laugh. I think it's a warm community feeling. It feels very much like a family. As soon as you walk in, someone starts talking to you. Someone makes you feel welcome. You're never alone when you're here, and I think that's the most important thing that Everton in the community brings. It helps everybody to remember that they're not alone.
That was Amanda Holden there speaking at one of our dementia workshops at Goodison Park. Tony, you've helped out with Everton in the community on many, many occasions, and as I said earlier on, it's something that every supporter is justifiably proud of.
It is, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic organisation which goes out there, helps the youth, helps the elderly. It shows no discrimination to age, colour, creed, anything. It just wants to help people, and it's a fantastic organisation. I've been sat down with children in classrooms and stuff like that who just need a little bit of guidance and help, and then I also help the elderly. Put a few plant pots and plants together. So the plant pot put a few plants together. So it was nice, to be honest. But I enjoyed my time there, and I think it's a fantastic organisation.
Talking of plant pots, you've helped out as well, Snoz, haven't you, from time to time?
Loads of things in the community. Great, it's fantastic. Everton's contribution to the community. And last night, as we were at Denby Supporters Club as well, me, you, Graham Stewart, Richard Kenyon, had a great time there. Knowledgeable crowd as well. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and you and Diamond enjoyed the buffet as well, Daz.
That doesn't shock me.
It's important, isn't it, to get out to these places in North Wales. They come to see us, so we should go and see them.
Without a doubt. You're thinking, how far is it? They do that every game. So every home game is an away game for them, because they're basically travelling an hour, 10, 15 minutes to come and watch the Blues at home at Goodison. So, yeah. What's that, going out of your way an hour to go and see the people that really do support you week in and week out?
The people who put the shift in, as you say, every single week, every other week. Well, there may have been no midweek football for Everton this week, but that doesn't mean to say that we haven't been busy behind the scenes. On Wednesday, for example, Snods and I hosted the official Everton radio show from the top of the Radio City Tower, and then, as Snods said, we went to North Wales to meet the Denby Blues. And all that came after an appointment earlier in the day at the Hilton Hotel in the city centre, where Gareth Barry was presented with the club's latest Player of the Month award.
You know, it's fantastic. You know, it's a proud when you're being, you know, recognised by the supporters and also your teammates for a good month. So yeah, I was delighted to win this month. I think I've been around long enough now to know if I've had a good game or bad game, or if the team's played well. So yeah, I think it's important you keep your own standards and you know when you've done a good job.
Yeah.
going onto the pitch knowing and, you know, believing we're going to play a good game, and you know that's you're halfway there when you're going onto the pitch with that mindset. The important thing now is to going into these games when we're getting ahead and, you know, learning from what's gone on previously and seeing them through, because, you know, 3 points these days, how close to Premier League, are massive to jump up.
Tony, we seem to talk about this guy, Gareth Barry, week in, week out on the Everton Show, and why not? He's been fantastic.
Absolutely brilliant. A true model professional, someone for the younger lads to look up to at the squad. I think he's one of the highest, well-capped league players in the league. You know, he's played so many games now. And like I say, he's just been a model professional since he come to Everton, and you know, he's here. He does things for the club away from it, from football, and like just a great example to young professionals at the club, and a good player. Most importantly, can play, helps the team week in, week out, never shy of a tackle, and you know, just always there.
Always there is the key phrase for Gareth, isn't it? He must be a dream for a young defender, because he knows where to be and when to be there to receive the ball.
Do you know what, Des? I didn't realise how good he was until he arrived at Everton. I watched him at Aston Villa and watched him at Man City and thought to myself, well, what does he really do? And it weren't until I seen him live and I thought, I know what Gareth Barry does. He gives you everything. He gives the back four a figure to play through. He can see things so quickly first time when he receives the ball. He knows where it's going, and he's a great help to the young lads, as Tony's just said. The young lads have got to look up to people like him. Gareth Barry, he's still going strong. He's won the Player of the Month. He's been outstanding since his arrival at Everton Football Club, and he's a top pro.
We were just speaking then about how highly Gareth Barry will probably rank in the January Player of the Month, but you think he might be pipped?
Yeah, I feel that it just might be Mo Besic this month. I think it's deserved. But like I say, going back to Gareth Barry, well, Mo Besic has been fantastic. He's come in, he's been asked to do a role, and he's done more than enough in that role. I feel he was the most important man on the pitch against Manchester City. And you've got to look at it this way, the huge boots he has to fill in James McCarthy when he's playing, because James McCarthy, in my opinion, is the most underrated player in the Premier League. I think he's the engine of Everton Football Club. It's like Snods has just said then about Gareth Barry, it's only until he's not there you see the massive effect he's got. Sure. Now, the thing with Gareth Barry is he had such a stability to Everton Football Club. We have great youth and talent in the club, but the thing with youth and young players is they have a kind of thing where it's 1 week they're fantastic, 1 week they're hit miss, and that only comes with experience. So, you know, like I say, we've got fantastic players like Gareth who's in there, does an amazing job, and that's all down to the experience and the solidarity and the stability he brings to the team.
Can't beat experience in any sport, can you? And that brings us nicely to the end of part 2 of this week's programme. Part 3, of course, is traditionally our big interview slot, and this week is a close-range tap-in for us. We'll be talking in depth about the boxing life and film star times of a great Evertonian, Tony Bellew. Welcome back to part 3 of this week's Everton Show, and this is a segment of the programme that both Snods and I have really been looking forward to. We all know Tony Bellew is a world-class boxer, a passionate Evertonian, and now, of course, although he doesn't like me saying it, he's a star of the big screen alongside no less than Sylvester Stallone. It's certainly been some journey, Tony, from a boy from Wavertree. Is it all a little bit surreal, all this red carpet lark?
That's the best way to explain it, Darren. It's been surreal. I'm just a normal lad from Liverpool, walking through town the other day, and it's the only time I've ever ignored someone when they've shouted something, but I couldn't acknowledge what he shouted. He shouted, "Yo, Rock!" "Yo, Rock!" And I just blanked it. I'm sorry if you're watching, mate. I didn't blank yet because I just can't acknowledge that word, mate. I am just Tony. I'll even acknowledge Pretty Rick. Please don't anyone shout that, but I have to acknowledge that, but I can't acknowledge Rock. I felt so embarrassed. I just wanted the floor to just swallow me up. It is surreal.
When did it all start for you, Tony? When did the schoolboy Tony Bellew think to himself, I think I'll try boxing?
It's a tough one because I always idolised my dad growing up. My dad's always been a main focus in my life, and my dad had a security company and done so many different things, and he just always wanted to provide the best for me he possibly could. And growing up, I just wanted to make my dad proud. My mum as well, but like I say, I was a father's son, me, without a shadow of a doubt. And my dad always could fight. He was always known as a bit of a tough guy around, and I kickboxed at first, and I've done that at a good level. I was okay. under a guy called Alfie Lewis, and then what happened is in my last few kickboxing fights I knocked the guy out with a punch, and I think Alfie said, listen, I just think you should concentrate on the hands and not the feet anymore. So I was really young at that age, I mean 11, 12. I went to a boxing gym at first, didn't really like it, so walked away because all I ever wanted to do was play football. And I wanted to play for Everton Football Club, but the fact of the matter was I was too fat and too slow to ever play as a number 9.
You can still play for Everton if you're still fat and slow, you know.
I'll take your word for it's not. But that's what I'd done. So, you know, I went from there and then I focused on the boxing, and before I knew it, it was just a spiral effect. It just one thing after another, it's more success after more success, and it made me more hungry, more driven, and I found myself here.
Which boxers, professional fighters did you look up to, Tony, when you were a young man?
Mine is a strange one because usually a lot of fighters will go, oh, I looked up to him because he was close to home and stuff like that. But for me, I just loved Riddick Bowe because I had so much in common with him. I loved to raid the fridge late at night. I think Riddick Bowe really wanted to be an American footballer, dreamed being a footballer, ended up in boxing and just similar little things like that. And then he's also an Evertonian. It was just, I could just be part of what he was, and I loved everything he'd done. I also had a lot of admiration for, you know, John Conte, close to home, obviously, your Lennox Lewis's. I admired, ultimately, Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn, I'd say, is my favourite British fighter of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. And then I'd say, on a world stage, it's always been Riddick Bowe for me, which people find hard to believe, but it's just one of them things.
You've always liked your boxing, Snods, haven't you?
Love me boxing. From being a teenager, I wouldn't fancy getting in the ring without a shadow of doubt, but
that's what they're for, by the way. Tony's you and Tony are going to get them on.
But I've so much admiration for these boys just to step in the ring, and it went until I really got serious about boxing until I moved to Liverpool and realised how much it meant to the city of Liverpool, boxing.
It's a fight city.
Yeah, it is a fighting city, and it's fantastic. I've been down to many, the Echo Arena to watch many of his fights as well, but many fights anyway. And you've got all the Smiths, great ambassadors for the sport. You've got Tony, Big Dave Price, I enjoy his company. So I've got all the time in the world. They train the socks off, these boys do, and to get in that ring, they deserve a medal.
Was there a point in your fledgling boxing career where you thought to yourself, I've got a chance here, I'm not bad at this?
You know what, Daz, I didn't ever think I was good enough, because I'm always my worst critic, and I didn't think I was good enough to even win an ABA title. And I went in the ABAs, and I remember still to this day, I'd won the novice championships at 81 kilos, and then I couldn't make weight anymore. And there was 3 fighters going to go in 81 kilos in the championships. There was myself, Michael Whitty and Paul Keir. So it became apparent that Mick Whitty couldn't make 91 kilos. So I said, you know what? I'm really struggling to do 81 kilos. I'll happily jump up 10 kilos and I'll just go in the ABAs for the experience of doing that. So I had KFC, Sayers, McDonald's, and I got up to 91 kilos and I just went in these championships and I beat everyone in the country. And once I won the ABA title, it just went on from there. It was crazy.
I wish I knew that Sayers and Greggs was the secret, Snods. I'd have tried it myself. Well, the Creed film that Tony's been in has certainly given Everton Football Club some amazing exposure. The crest, the training kit, the stadium, the branding all feature very heavily in the movie, and some people have even suggested that there's a chap in the ring right at the end who looks a bit like me. I'm not so sure about that, but a gentleman called Kevin Bell is from the Liverpool Film Office, and he explains how Goodison came to feature and just how significant an inclusion it really is.
The producer of the film is actually from Liverpool, was born here, so I'm coming over and visitors both football clubs and looking at different ideas and scenarios around the exterior of the stadiums, the build-up obviously to the boxing fight in the film, and also how the stadium itself would fit in with the project. Went around both stadiums on a non-match day and a match day, and from that they made the decision that Everton was the right football club for them. You can see that straight away from the promos, that Goodison's going to play a big part. It'll be a character in itself in the film, which is it's amazing. Everyone knows Rocky. Everyone knows the different films from their childhood, for when they first came out and growing up, and everyone knows that story of sort of the Italian stallion sort of who made good, really. So I think that story is quite universal across the world, and that's why it sort of reaches such a wide audience. I think a large part of the world will know where Everton is and what Everton is, and this will just cement them in their mind really of the profile of the football club. With the due respect to other football clubs across the country, they haven't got the profile of Everton, and therefore probably wouldn't have been the right choice for this particular project. I think anyway with this film's release they will know the name Everton, and if they don't, as soon as they leave the cinema they certainly will.
Tony, you assured me that you had a lot of fun making that film.
I did, and looking back at that video there, it gives me absolutely fantastic memories. I owe the director of the movie, Ryan Coogler, an awful lot, because it was him who believed in me ultimately. It was him who made me take that part, and him who made me believe I could actually do it. So looking at us, we had a game that we used to play when we get tired, because it's 12-hour days on movie sets minimum. So it can be anything from the start of 12 till 12, and then usually it would go to 14 or 16-hour days. So some of them days you were tired, and we had a game. As soon as I looked a bit lethargic or tired, Ryan would come up into the ring, and this is unheard of for directors, and he would say, right, let's do it. We had a game where it would be kind of tick, but you had to touch each other's shoulder, and it'd be 1-0, and you can't block it with the hands, you can only doing it by moving the shoulder, so it looked like kind of a bit of a jigger dance. But I assure you it wasn't a dance, it was like touch the shoulder, 1-0, and move and touch, and we learned it from the GB squad days, and I just had so much fun at times making the movie. Ultimately, it was hard being away from my family and my kids for 11 weeks, really lonely some days, but ultimately Ryan, the team, Gary got me through them days, and it leaves me now with great memories.
Many outtakes, Tom? No?
No, do you know what's crazy? We didn't actually have to reset or do take after take after take, and Ryan Coogler is known in the boxing world as Ryan 2 Takes Coogler, because he always likes to get another one, because he likes to have a choice of all the takes and stuff, but we didn't really have to do it. On the fight scenes, we just strolled through them, because me and Mike we lived together for 11 weeks, and me and my MBJ, we trained together for 11 weeks, we ate together, we just done everything together, so it was like having a little brother who's so supportive of you and he's around. But the fact of the matter is, he might have been a little brother, but he's a megastar. Yeah. And he was someone who I looked up to, is someone who I could always go to for advice, as well as Sly. But I got close with Mike, and I was really close with Ryan. They'll be friends of mine for life, they really will. And just having people around you like that to help you and coach you along the way was fantastic, and I'll be forever indebted to them. And I didn't have to take many takes, even when it come to days where it was just me acting. It wasn't hard, it didn't take long, and they said I was a natural. I don't know if they're just saying that because they're my friend, but I do all right.
Oscar material, does
I don't know about that.
You've fought at the Echo Arena when it's been absolutely jam-packed. Yeah. What goes through your mind when you hear the Z-Cars drum roll and the roar of the crowd goes up for that walk from the sidelines into the ring?
At the start, what I had to do is I changed the ring walk, Dad, and if the truth be known, and I had to put something before it, because if Z-Cars just comes on straight away, I get angry and I just want to fight immediately. So what I've done is I had to think it through, and I went to me DJ and my good friend Anton Powers, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to put the Gladiator before it. Are you not? I want people to be entertained, and I want them to think, we've come here to see a fight, so let's see a fight. But in that moment when Russell Crowe was saying, are you not entertained? That's given me the time to get my mind together. And it allows me to really focus. I don't look at the crowd, I turn me back to the crowd so they just see Bomber Bell, you on me back. And I just focus on the dark. And I just think, get yourself together, you're getting ready to go to war, it's time. And then as soon as I hear, once I hear the air raid sirens and then I hear the drums roll, I think, let's go. And I must say, since I've moved up to cruiserweight, at light heavyweight, when I heard the drum roll and the air raid sirens, I thought it's time for violence of the highest order. But now I'm a lot more calm and confident. And when I hear the air raid siren and the drum roll, I smile. I really do, because I know it sounds crazy and people watching, I love fighting. I love the fighting. It's the best feeling in the world. The closest thing, the best way I can say to it about fighting or knocking someone out is scoring a goal. And if you can't envision what that's like, then just think of the happiest moments in the world to you, and that's how I feel when it comes in.
I'd rather score a goal than get knocked out.
I'm talking knock someone out, but yeah, like I say, it's I feel like that's in my own world, and I feel like I own this whole place. It's mine. Watch me go to work, and the best part about it all is Z-Cars is booming in the background, and
the atmosphere is terrific, isn't it, at the fight snobs?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I know I'd really get wound up when the music starts. You see him there, and I know my boys all come to watch him fight as well, and they get really worked up when the music starts and he's stood there.
It is a fantastic atmosphere. And the Tony Bellew story is a cracker, isn't it? And there's a few more chapters left, that's for sure. We're going to take another short break right now. When we return, we'll start to look ahead to the weekend visit to Goodison Park of Swansea City. Welcome back to the fourth and final part of this week's Everton Show. It's Swansea City up next for the Blues, and that's a club, of course, that Roberto Martinez knows only too well. The boss has been looking ahead to the challenge that his former employers will bring to Everton on Sunday afternoon, particularly with Alan Curtis now taking a major coaching role.
I had the pleasure to work with Alan, and in that respect, he is exactly a football true gentleman and someone that is ready to steady the ship and bring his charisma and his work to a team that at the moment probably they're not where they should be, but we know that the threat and the quality that they have in their ranks shouldn't be underestimated, and I expect a really tough game on Sunday. Is a team that they've been very unfortunate in the last two visits in games where the opposition had a lot of the ball, but they couldn't take real advantage. And I think Swansea against Manchester City and Manchester United, they deserve a lot more. Against Manchester City was the last kick of the game. They stopped them from having a positive result, and against Manchester United probably they should have got maybe 1 or 2 goals in that game. So we know that they're going to be a real threat away from home. They're a team that they can create threat and they can keep the ball really well. I think Alan Curtis is brought the all strength that this Swansea City team has.
Alan Curtis is a legend at Swansea. Is he the right man to galvanise that team and take them up the table and away from the relegation zone?
I think Alan Curtis is such a reliable figure at that football club. His experiences that he had as a player, someone that he set real new heights and new standards, someone that is always suffered with the football club. He's always carried the emotions of the football club in the darkest moments, and he's always been there for everyone that needed his support. And then he's been a steady influence to every manager that they've been through the incredible roller coaster of the last 10 seasons. It's a remarkable story, and Swansea City as a football club, they got an incredible story to tell, and Alan Curtis is focal in all that role, and now is someone that he can be very much reliable and the person to achieve a lot of success with this Swansea City side in the second half of the season.
Snod, Swansea City at Goodison on Sunday. They've got a new manager. They had a good win against Watford on Monday night, but is this a game that Everton need to win?
Yeah, what I find strange does is when a new manager comes in, it seems to lift the players 10%, 20%. I don't buy into that. You shouldn't do. You should go out there and play the same, regardless who's the manager for me. But it does. They got a good result against Watford. Watford didn't play particularly well that day, and they have been playing well. But I believe that we've got to win this game at Goodison Park. I really do. We've drawn a lot of games when frustration set in. We should have won them games. But I see Swansea as a game that at Goodison Park we've got a lot of players coming back from injury. I think the boss will have a selection problem, a good selection problem, by the way. And I think we're well capable of beating Swansea on Sunday afternoon.
You can never have too many players, can you?
No, especially of the quality that we've got as well. We're not just talking about a squad here. We've got quality players in that squad.
Well, the Premier League is starting to stretch itself out a little bit now, and if Everton want to really make a concerted challenge on the top positions, then the likes of Swansea City have got to be dealt with on our own patch. Leighton Baines, back in the side after a long injury layoff, fully endorses that point of view.
We're at a stage in the season where, if we want to get to where we want to be, then we've got to start stringing more results together and winning more football matches, basically. So Swansea's the next game up, and it's a good place for us to start doing that.
We've seen some really good examples recently of just how important that Goodison atmosphere can be. So winning games for supporters as well, it's an important part of this particularly busy time of the season.
It is, yeah, and as you said, we've had a couple of decent results and good atmospheres at the games lately as well. So we look to build on that and carry that momentum forward.
You've had a few games back in the side now. How do you feel you've settled back in?
I felt the last few weeks a lot fitter, or match fit really. I felt, I've done a lot of work, obviously coming back from a lengthy time out, and that's going to stand you in good stead, but you have to get match fitness as well. And at this stage of the season, I had to sort of do that coming into the first team, and as I say, I felt good the last few weeks, and trying to just look after myself now and make sure I can sustain that for as long as possible.
Not just yourself at the back coming back in for the manager, but Phil Jagielka as well. Roberto's spoken about how important his influence has been, just having him back in the dressing room originally, but now out on the pitch as well. From a player's perspective, how do you see that? How important is having Jags there as a leader?
Well, that's what he is. He's our leader, and he's a big player for us. He's important, and not just because of what he gives the team in terms of his attributes. It's his leadership, his communication, which is vital, especially at the back. Playing around people who use the voice and give good instructions is very important. Jags is, one of the best I've played with in that respect.
Tony, people have these perceptions of professional footballers at Premier League level and how they live their lives and how they behave. Leighton Baines doesn't tick any of those boxes, does he?
No, he doesn't, and he's a lad who hasn't forgot where he's from, and an amazingly talented footballer as well. People have got to forget the level that he's at, being the best left back in this country for a long time, and just a brilliant footballer. It's the quality of him and the fact that he's just so passionate about what he's doing. He voices his opinion, and Snodge, you'll be able to know also having someone of that stature in the team is a massive boost to us.
He's fantastic, and he's come back from a long-term injury as well, and he's just back to his best as well. A couple of years ago, him and Pienaar were the best left-hand combination you've ever seen in football. Fantastic they were, but Baines is a top player and an important player. And you look at Galloway, he's a great, exceptional young player who's done nothing wrong, but you'd have Leighton in there just before him. Well, not just before him, but before him if they're both fit.
He'll be learning so much.
Yeah.
Just even watching, being around the squad, training alongside Leighton Baines, he will be learning so much. Because listen, time waits for nobody. And ultimately, Leighton's getting older, but for me, he's in the prime of his career. He's a fantastic player and a massive part of the great Everton team.
Nobody better for the young players to learn from, is there? Well, Roberto's assistant, Graham Jones, is another Swansea City man, of course. Graham knows the South Wales outfit very well indeed. He knows most of the people behind the scenes, and that's why he's been able to give us some real insight into what makes them tick.
Yeah, well, obviously it's our previous club. It's where everything started for me and Roberto 9 years ago now, next month. And we'll always be grateful for that opportunity. And they're a great club. They're a club that's close to both of our hearts, so it'll be good to see some old friends at the weekend.
One of those old friends be Alan Curtis. How important was he in for yourself and for Roberto, and what was his first job in management?
Well, Alan wasn't there when we took over, and within the first week Roberto said to me, Alan Curtis has to come back to the club, and he made it his business to reappoint Alan maybe September or October time of 2007, and he's been in ever since. He had an unfortunate break, I think, before that period where he left the club for different circumstances, but he's been a great servant off and on the pitch. People obviously don't know him the way me and Roberto do, but as a guy, he's as good as you'll meet anyway. He was certainly a great support host during our time down there.
And I know he's a popular character at the club. I believe they call him the legend.
The legend, and why not? He's now done every role in the football club. So, but I think he'll be fondly remembered for his playing role where he earned that legendary status.
To see him now in the dugout, will that be strange, do you think, on Sunday? Yeah,
because the Alan Curtis I didn't think that he'd want to go down that route. But Alan's one of these guys. He's an adaptable person. I think he's capable of doing anything really he puts his mind to.
We're just about to run out of time, gentlemen, but we need to speak about the semi-final next week. You'll be there, Tony?
I'll be there, screaming and shouting as always. Really looking forward to it. Hoping we can just go there and done what we done last week, basically. You know, a draw's enough. We just need to man up, toughen up, and really get the fight going.
Snods?
Yeah, we'll be co-commentating with yourself. You'll be commentating, Daz. Me and Diamond are doing half each. I want to do the first half, by the way, because if we're winning that second half, I want to listen to them Evertonians, because there'll be some noise coming out from that side of the ground.
Do you ever shout something at the game which somebody might disagree with, and they turn round, ready to give you a volley of abuse, see who it is, and sit back down again?
A couple of times that's happened. A couple of times. One was the derby. A Liverpool fan was sitting where he shouldn't have been, in our end, and they scored the goal, and I just said to him, "You shouldn't be here." And I didn't say it too loud, but he heard me loud enough. And as he flipped around, "What are you going to do?" He sorry mate, he just said, "What are you going to do?" And then he just sat down. So that was the end of that one.
And that's just about it for this week. What a packed Everton show that's been. We've had a little bit of everything: knockouts, Hollywood, celebrity judges, players, coaches, and of course, Snods. Thanks hugely to Tony Bellew for joining us this week. We'll certainly have you back, Tony, that's for sure. And to Snods, as always. And to you for watching. We really do enjoy putting this show together, and the great feedback we get makes it all worthwhile. We'll be back next week when, hopefully, we'll all be planning a trip to Wembley. We shall see.